got mail. Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K Now, the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next 7 hours. No, just a little, maybe over an hour. Along with Gal.
Good morning.
Good morning. Spence is having a little technical difficulties, but he should be joining us shortly, I hope. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And this morning's show is made possible by vMix Software and sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. So, other than assassination attempts, what else is new in this in the tech world?
I haven't heard about anything interesting, but I haven't been listening either, so I don't know.
It's
You tell us.
well, I mean, nothing. The only thing that I've been involved with and doing is working on that is technical, is working on the headlights of the BMW. I mean, it is technical. It is just amazing, absolutely amazing what a difference in technology between normal, I'll call them normal headlights like halogen. You know, you change the bulb and that's it. There's nothing in. And the xenon, which the BMW has. Absolutely amazing. The xenon, it's like a robot in there. It's a piece of machinery in the headlight with motors. It has the motors are not that. I mean, it's like if you turn the wheel to the left, it's supposed to turn the lights kind of to the left, and you are seeing better, or it adjusts them up and down. But the main thing was that, and because those things don't burn much, don't go bad a lot. People don't know about them. This one had the problem was there was low beam, but there was no high beam on one of on the passenger side. No, the driver's side. Had low beam, but no high beam. Reading and reading and reading, and it turns out there's only one light bulb. And it provides high and low. It has only one filament also. It's not like the normal 2-filament light bulbs that have a high beam in them and a low beam filament. The way they accomplish it, and after taking it apart, which was a job, I found out, and reading, I found out what the problem, to begin, what was the problem. It has a shutter inside. And the shutter comes down, and when it's down, that's low beam. It covers the lens, and then when you put high beam on, there is a solenoid that activates and lifts the shutter, and then the full light of the light bulb is out there. When we opened so right away, first of all, they were thinking that the ballast or the igniter, it's a series, are bad. So I got a kit, and we tried this and nothing. That's before taking it apart. And I said, so after reading it, I told him, I said, look, if there is low beam, any kind of light is in there, if it's high beam all the time and it doesn't go to low beam, if there's low beam, it doesn't go to high beam, that means everything with the light bulb is fine because there's only one. It's something else. So after taking it apart, I found out that the wires that, first of all, most of the wires were just, the insulation was just breaking apart and it looked like wires were touching wires. Now, this is a 2004. So, yeah, but the, the, when you open it and you look inside, you see bare wires. And the wires to the plug that goes to the solenoid, I'm looking and there are no wires to the solenoid. I said, how does that solenoid work? And the plug is kind of obscured. But after taking it apart and everything, I saw it and said, they broke right at the plug. All three of them had to be somebody that tried to do something. And again, we don't know how long this has been like this. You know how you can pull the high beam lever and it flashes. It's like if you push and pull forward and upwards to change low beam to high beam, but also if you pull it all the way, it flashes. The BMW has one just for the flasher. In any other car, it puts the high beam on, kind of like in a momentary, because when you let go, it falls. So we don't know how long this has been like this. Hannah was driving the car in many cases with the flasher on. She would pull it and hold it up and drive. So we don't know how long it's been like this, but this is what I was dealing with. So I got just halogen headlights, and the lenses were bad, and it was on the inside. And yeah, no, everybody said you cannot get those lenses off to clean and put them back on. And true, sure enough, after taking it apart on the bench, I could see why. So I put halogen, and I'm going to change the light bulbs to LEDs probably today to see. And that's what I've been doing most of the week. So as far as technology. So what Spence is saying?
It's asking him to log into his account and it's failing, but
Did he reboot?
I don't know. I tried it also on an iPad. Something's up.
Oh, that is weird.
There's don't sign in. The host require authentication on the commercial Zoom platform. Seems like something in the meeting settings is requiring that the user be authenticated.
Well,
I'm
of
using a
course,
user, so
it has
no,
that
why?
it has that code, that passcode.
No, forget that code. That code has nothing to do with
Oh,
authentication. That code is just for the
it
meeting.
didn't ask
See,
you.
I am logged in with a user. See if you go to and control. Can you make me the host of this meeting specifically?
Have
Participant. I'll try to solve
never
this.
done it, but let's see. Where's the?
So right click my image.
Well, you're
I'll do
the
it.
big image there. So I'm looking. You see, I mean, oh, you don't see that. Um, well, I can't read it. It's too far.
I
When you right click, it has
I don't know where it'll be because I can't see it until I'm a host. So
sheesh.
I do not have access
Yeah.
like Nick has.
Yeah, hold it.
Yes. Excellent. can fix this. Okay, so read a headline, and we'll try to out while we're
Are you telling me or are you telling
you,
Spencer?
so we can move the show forward.
All right. Routers. Users of Linksys Velop, VELOP Pro 6E and 7 mesh routers should change their password and Wi Fi network name through an external web browser. The two models transmit critical information to outside servers in an insecure manner upon initial installation. New patches have emerged since the issue was discovered, but Linksys hasn't publicly responded to the matter, and it is unclear if the latest firmware leaves sensitive data exposed to interception. So, if you have a um, Linksys Vela Pro 6E and 7 mesh, when you set it up, it asks you to put password and Wi-Fi network, and it transmits these in plain text. So what you should do is, they said, just go into the router through a web browser and change it. They're not sure that the fix actually fixed it.
Meeting plain
So,
text, it'll just transmit the new password.
well, it will
empty.
not. It does it when you do it initially from
Oh, I get it.
within the app or whatever, when you.
Yeah, I think I understand. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. But the fact that they don't know if that'll work.
No, the fact
Strange.
the reason why I'm saying the fact, it's not the Linksys doesn't know. The researchers don't know because Linksys did not respond to, did it fix it?
No.
So they said, to be on the safe side, change it. If you
Okay.
change it, everything will be okay. So the AT&T breaches that happened. So here's an interesting article. John Binns, a U.S. citizen who has been incarcerated in Turkey, is linked to the massive data breach of metadata belonging to nearly all of AT&T's customers that the telecommunication giant announced on Friday. 3 sources independently told 404 Media Binns has already been indicted for allegedly breaking into T-Mobile in 2021 and selling stolen data on more than 40 million people. Now he is allegedly connected to the latest breach against AT&T, which the company said it detected in April. So and I was reading. I mean, they didn't get. They said they didn't get any sensitive data. Well, sensitive as in Social Security, credit cards, or whatever. But they got
Right.
all kind of other information about almost all of AT&T's customers, all of them. It's beginning to be a real problem. Why can't these guys do something to secure the stuff a little more, a little better? I don't know.
Well, it's not that they can't. It has to do with the complexity of their system, right? Nothing simple about the systems.
Yes.
AT&T.
Okay.
AT&T is a company built from a lot of mergers, right?
Yeah.
A lot of acquisitions.
Right.
So every single interaction with a new company, basically, small or large, right? Just rattles the entire IT infrastructure because in order to connect, to make sure that after an acquisition like this, people on both ends can communicate, can interact. It's always a project that takes a long time, and it needs to happen while people working. Think about constructions on an intersection, right? How it takes years because that intersection cannot be shut
Yeah,
down while
right.
it's being constructed, right? It's the same idea. So hackers, they just know to look for the breakdowns in those locations. And I am guessing that there are some design, like integral design flaws from the start that are very hard to just hit the reset button.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not in any way providing excuses here for
You're right.
AT&T, but I am understanding why it happens again and again and again and again, right? And I'm guessing just it doesn't happen enough for them to lose so much money, right? That it merits a complete redesign of that is helping that happen. Remember, they have physical locations, right, which are run by the college kids, right? Most of the time.
Yeah.
So not very experienced people, at least not on the IT side, right? They have people who might do very well selling their products, and but when it comes to securing their workstations, they don't have very good coverage. That's my guess, right? And if those locations are run by some sort of franchising contract, right, that makes that even worse because basically those are third parties that are connecting to the main infrastructure.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
AT&T, yeah, it's a string of bad decisions with mixed up with bad luck, and we get
Yeah,
these
it
more
is
and more.
bad luck. Absolutely.
Um,
So
uh,
they,
I don't think there's a solution here. Like if you go to Verizon, then I don't know. Then we'll hear about
yeah,
Verizon,
right.
right? If you go to AT&T, then we'll hear about. It's just about the design. These are systems that have been designed that way, and some of them operational in that structure since the 90s, right? Uh, so I don't know.
Yeah. It's anyway. I mean, what they're saying is, U.S. phone giant AT&T confirmed Friday it will begin notifying millions of consumers about fresh data breach that allowed cybercriminals to steal the phone records of nearly all of its customers.
Yeah, I
18
think, and they said no sensitive information,
Well,
right?
they said that
The
stolen
phone
data
record is very
well,
sensitive.
yeah, it says that the stolen data contains phone numbers of both cellular and landline customers, as well as AT&T records of call and text messages, such as who contacted who by phone or text during a 6-month period between May 1st, 22 and October 31st, 2022. AT&T
I'll tell
says,
you tell
huh?
you one thing. I'm hearing all of this, and I understand completely who wants this data. Right? The police, they can't do anything with it
Yeah,
because they can if they didn't receive it by a court order, right? It's not applicable. So their hands are tied in using that information. But private investigators, right? They
can
would love that data,
sure, absolutely.
right? So it's lucrative as hell.
And it's not just an AT&T thing. It says the stolen data also include call records of customers with phone service from other cell carriers that rely on AT&T's network. So if they're
Interesting. Like every intersection in their infrastructure,
Yep.
basically. Wow. Yeah, I'm a T-Mobile customer, right?
Yeah.
So luckily I don't have I don't have anything sinister to hide. Like wow.
Nobody should use the cell phone if they do anything sinister, because there are so many ways for law enforcement to find
Oh,
out.
by the way, while I am using T-Mobile as the infrastructure,
Yeah.
right, I hardly do use them for calls. So my calls go out through Google Voice. I'm not saying that's better. I'm just saying
Yeah. It
the
just
breach that would worry me would be a Google Voice breach, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a tough one. Call records.
This will pass too.
So if anybody listens to us and you cheated on your spouse and you have T-Mobile, you're screwed, because I think the evidence will be found.
One sooner or later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This stuff, nothing gets erased from the internet.
Yeah. I mean, really,
This is
that
terrible.
it's interesting how many things can how it's good and it's not good. It's good because if people think and they said, no, I better not do something bad. And if you
Yeah,
do,
that has
then you
nothing to
get,
do
I
with
don't know. But
human
anyway,
nature.
there's,
The conversation I had with you before the show about my personal struggle,
yeah,
right? Human nature is always going to trip you up. It
true,
doesn't matter
true,
that you
yeah.
know the risks or you know the dangers.
But
Still going to screw up.
here's another one. Oh, there's
Oh,
Spence.
we got him in.
Holy cow.
What did you find out anything, or it just
Uh,
happened?
I don't know. Apparently,
Okay, you don't.
it said that my password, it said that I couldn't, I never saw this procedure before with
Okay,
that link.
so bottom line, you don't know how you fix it. It just
It's not.
started.
No,
Well,
he knows. It's not the link. The
I
problem
reset,
was, yeah,
I
this is
reset my
actually
password
good. This might happen to somebody. You get a link
before.
to a Zoom meeting. That Zoom meeting has a requirement. By the way, we probably need to requirement, but the Zoom meeting has a requirement that only authenticated users can join the Zoom session.
Right.
Okay. That has nothing to do with the passcode for the session itself. That's another layer. Okay.
Yep.
That is just make sure that whoever's joining is not an anonymous user to Zoom, to the Zoom, has a Zoom login.
Oh, that password. It was
Yes.
okay.
And Spence, and the problem was that the default setting for resetting the password is to get approval from another device that is already logged into Zoom.
Yes.
The problem is for some reason, all of his devices were logged out.
So I went, I got my iPad, I got my iPhone, I got my other computer, nothing. So it did, what I finally did was reset my password again. And when it said sending code, I said, it had at the bottom, it says, send me a one-time code. Yeah. When I did that the first time, there was no place to put the code in. So it sent it to me. I had it in my email. I said, well, where do I put it? It didn't give me a screen. So I went to another computer.
Did it give you a link in your email?
It didn't give me nothing. And I went to another machine and I did the same thing just now. And the screen stayed up and I was able to put the code in.
So, yeah.
That's what it was.
Well,
it was hard.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Gal, you started saying something. We should what?
This was about T-Mobile and
No. You would
no about the Zoom login.
About Zoom. You said
we should remove the requirements of users being authenticated. If you send somebody the link includes the passcode, right? So if they have that link, they should be able to connect and not log in. I think that'll simplify a situation like this.
Well,
Pence would still have needed to solve this. It didn't have to happen now. He could have.
You're the host.
Well, that's the thing. It's only from the schedule. I was looking for a way to remove that from the active meeting, and I can't find it.
Okay.
So that needs to be later on the schedule. That's something you can do.
Very interesting. All right.
Okay, Spence, just in time because I gotta leave in like 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So you're taking over.
Okay.
But anyway, we were talking about breaches and how this. Listen to this one. A data breach at the phone surveillance operation mSpy has exposed millions of its customers who bought access to the phone spyware app over the past decade, as well as the Ukrainian company behind it. Unknown attackers stole millions of customer support tickets, including personal information, emails to support, and attachments, including personal documents from mSpy in May 2024. I mean, this is the company
you
that
steal from the thief. Is it?
Yeah,
still
exactly.
Can I still get a landline?
What?
Can I still get a landline?
Only I think only in California you can. They're not allowing them to stop it. There was some story about it.
Yeah. I still think that a landline won't help you here. Because if they tap to a switchboard, they tap to a switchboard. It doesn't really matter.
True. Yeah, it's SS7 signaling they're capturing.
The last mile doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter how it looks, right?
Well, because it's not a mile anymore.
Well, yeah, but
it's
I mean,
however far it is you're logging in from, like a ship in the middle of the ocean.
Exactly. There was a story that I had. It was very interesting about a school in England. I mean, there it is. Eton College. Britain's
That's a very prestigious college.
Yeah. Yes. Britain Elite's boarding school with alumni that includes the Princes William and Harry, as well as George Orwell, and long lists of others, is banning incoming students from having smartphones. Instead, the school will provide students with a Nokia brick phone, which will only be capable of making calls and sending text messages. Now, this is
that's fantastic because it's a boarding school, right? So that will reduce cyberbullying.
Yeah.
Extremely, right? I'm not saying it'll eliminate, but it will reduce.
Right.
Because that at least that weapon is not very available. But it will also introduce an underground marketplace for
It'll be like being in prison where they have
exactly.
That's hidden under the mattress and it moves around and hey, I need the phone
in the bathroom.
Hey, you want a smartphone?
No, but these kids they come from very, very influential families, and if their parents object to it, it'll get squashed.
But if the school chose that, right, then that went through the board.
True.
So their parents are all on board here.
Okay, Gal, you need to go.
I need to go.
All right.
For the rest of the show.
Have a good day.
See ya. Have fun. And so what did you start?
I was going to say that you think about the kids that all went to this school.
Whoops! Oh shoot! Oh, let me reconnect here. Spence, go ahead and reconnect. There is. Yeah,
That
when
was weird.
when what happened is when Gal left, because I made him the host,
Oh, yeah.
it disconnected us.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So sorry, go ahead.
What I was just saying about a school like that, these are, yes, only the upper crust goes there, right? But
Yeah.
think about how many people went there and how screwed up they are. I'm serious. You think
Well,
about these elites that go through these schools. Harry went there, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Look at how
Both of
messed
them.
up he
Both
is.
of them.
Yeah. Look at how messed up they are. So that's
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
But
Yeah, interesting.
what can you do?
Um,
I was lucky to get into. I went to a very good high school at the time, but there still was rampant drug use, and this was the early '70s. I mean, it was really. But now that I go to my reunion, I see that most of the people I went to school with actually came out pretty good. There were a few exceptions, but
there's always exceptions. There are
yeah.
always. Okay. TurboTax parent Intuit said on Wednesday it will let go of about 1,800 employees, or 10% of its workforce, as it looks to focus on its AI powered tax preparation
Oh, great.
software.
Is AI going to go with you to the meeting when you get audited? Wait, I need to put my phone on the desk here so my AI can answer the
Yeah,
questions.
it's just
Well,
amazing. Oh, no, AI is not going to create any problems. It's not going to take jobs. Yeah.
what was
And
the other big announcement that happened? Was just this week. Company announced that they're giving up like 1,500 jobs to AI. Might have been an investment company.
I don't know. I didn't.
I
I
can't.
didn't
Yeah,
see that.
it was this past week. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
they're all
we're going to
the
see
good
more.
news. All those people got free certificates to go to school to learn how to do welding.
Yeah, they should have.
That would have been actually a good profession to move over into. I did go see the new Mike Rowe movie.
The new witch.
Mike Rowe of
Oh yeah,
Dirty Jobs has a new movie out. And
yeah,
it's really, you remember Paul Harvey?
yeah.
Well, he does a radio show called The Way I Heard It, which a podcast and a radio show. And what he did was he made small vignette movies about subjects from that show. And it would be like giving you the background story of a person, and then you don't know who it is till the end. And you're surprised, like, oh, that's, I didn't realize that. And, but that ties into his whole effort to get people to realize that the trades are a very good place to be and we need trades.
And now you know the rest of the story.
There's a guy, and that's the way it is at the end. It's
Yeah.
kind of cool because some of them, it's like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Which is always the best part of it. So,
Interesting. Cars. Cars have been able to figure out when they're speeding for a while, thanks to GPS as well as traffic sign recognition. And they also have been able to pump the brakes automatically when needed. Having a computer automatically slow down a car in response to posted speed limits, therefore, was not really a question of technical feasibility for some time, but mandating it has been a question of political will. That political will has materialized in the EU, and starting July 7th, which passed already, all new cars sold in the EU will feature intelligent speed assistant system. Speed assistant.
oh, it's already in my car.
Really?
Because my car talks to Subaru and I get a monthly report. And this is not something I set up.
But I mean, if you go from a 65 to a 55 speed zone, does it slow you down and not allowing you to
No, but
speed?
the car, but the system is there because if you use the
Oh yeah,
intelligent cruise control,
yeah,
it automatically does that. Right. So now all they have to do is tie into that system. I'm sure there's back doors there.
yeah.
So
But this has to be there to slow you down. It's a
yeah,
speed assistance. So it's sort of like a what did we call it on cars that you couldn't go above governor?
governor.
Yeah, sort of
Well,
like a governor that says, hey, no, you can't go any faster than this.
I
That's it.
don't disagree with that to an extent.
Right.
I do disagree about it from a privacy perspective, but the way people drive now,
Yeah. It'll help.
it's
Yeah.
I would like to see the system have. If you do it repeatedly, then it
Shut down
not only slows you down, but it sends you a speeding ticket.
the car.
Yeah, you could drive along, and you can see the amount of fines just counting up on your screen in the car. Yeah, you see that.
And
That's where you get into.
if a cop stops you, they can get that information. Said, oh, so you've been speeding a lot.
Well,
It's
I'm
just that you
sure
just got caught.
they wanted. I think it was California was the first one to say they had to have this, where they needed to have a shutdown methodology so that they could literally just point something at your car and it shuts off for high speed chases.
That
So
yeah, that I mean, I don't know about shut off. I would say slow down
well, no,
because
it would actually shut the engine off, so the
yeah,
car would just roll to a stop.
if you shut the engine off, that car also has no brakes at this point.
You're right. There's probably
So it's something
problems with it.
that will, hey, you can accelerate, but the engine still it's idling.
The part about it is that you have to think about the people that administer and regulate this are going to lose their minds and come up with all these different ways of saying you can't do this, you can't do that.
Well, there'll always be people that will tell you can't do this, can't do
Yeah,
that.
but I mean, we look at EU is kind of like the California is where something crazy is coming down the pipe. It starts out there first, and then it gets tested there, and the reaction to it, some of the crazy stuff that comes out of California.
Oh,
They were the first state to have uh, the end of the sale of gasoline powered vehicles mandated. Past a certain date, you can't buy one anymore. So, which is blowing up in their faces because nobody's buying electric cars. Very few people.
yeah. Can't remember. Oh, my cousin in Vegas saying that he knows a couple of dealers that sell EVs, and he said they're all complaining that they have not sold an EV in months, and they're just sitting on the lot, and they are just costing them money,
Yeah,
and it's a problem,
it's for a certain environment, it's great, but you can't use it reliably on a long trip.
right?
And then they're all the. Hey, did you see how much money they spent on supposedly putting in charging stations? I think we talked about this.
Yeah, we thought it's
Billions
yeah,
of
but and it's
dollars,
still not there.
and there are three that they built. And when they asked Buttigieg, he says, "Well, no." It's like, well, 2 years and this billions of dollars, and you have three.
Yeah, I was always wondering why they can't put a little generator. I mean, I'm talking about a little generator that works on gas in the
Yeah.
trunk or somewhere. And
Yes.
if you're in the middle of a trip and you're beginning to run out, you start it and you let it charge the battery as you go. Kind of, that's just to help you get anywhere you're going. I understand you can. It's probably going to take days to charge it with a little generator, but still.
I think there was one of the very first electric cars was that design.
Hmm.
And the initial test way they did it was they had a trailer behind a small trailer that had
Okay,
the
yeah,
generator on it. And you would ride along and it would charge it as you went to extend the range.
yeah.
But I remember mentioning this probably 10 years ago or more. Steve Gibson,
Yeah.
remember him?
Yeah.
Gibson Research?
Yeah.
He was behind, he had a couple of technologies that he was pushing. And one was the idea of having not batteries in cars, but capacitors in cars. And they would have a whole bank of capacitors that could charge instantly. They don't require a long period
Right.
of time.
The,
And the charging device would be a very small turbine that would run on whatever fuel you want. It would run on alcohol, it would run on gasoline, it would run on anything. But
nuclear.
it would run extremely fast for very short periods of time, and it would flash charge.
Mhm.
Like if you had 80 capacitors and you ride along and you go through 20 of them, it would flash charge the 20 that you had just used. And this technology exists in generators for very remote areas. They use it on oil rigs. They have this type of an idea. I don't know if it's capacitors, but they have a flash charge, a little turbine that runs for as long as it needs to just to keep it charged constantly. Kind of like on an airplane, they have the that small jet engine in the tail. It doesn't do propulsion. It's an APU, auxiliary power unit, that keeps everything running on the plane when the engines aren't running. Same idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think electric cars will eventually get there, but the issues with it are they're just ignoring the issues, saying they have to do it. Oh, it'll work itself out. Yeah, well,
What until
Yeah.
then? That's the
Yeah.
problem.
what
Yeah.
happens until then, and at what cost to people? So
Solar. Solar will charge it pretty good all the time. In certain places, again.
yeah,
Yeah.
they don't not northern Alaska in the winter.
Yeah. All right.
You couldn't turn the car on its side enough
To
point it at the horizon so you could get that little bit of charging if you have 3-hour days. And then if you go above the Arctic Circle, you have 2 months with no sun.
you use Photoshop or any of the Adobe?
I don't use any photo software from Adobe. I use Acrobat.
So Serif, the design software developer behind Affinity, has introduced a 6-month free trial for its creative suite, offering Affinity photo designer and publisher on Mac, Windows, and iPad. This move, along with a 50% discount on perpetual licenses, aims to attract Adobe users and reassure them of Affinity's commitment to its one-time purchase pricing model, despite its recent acquisition by Canva. This is a competitor to the Adobe suite that has the Photoshop and some other pieces of software with it. But it's a one-time, it's not a subscription. So you buy it and
Forever?
I guess, I mean, unless maybe they're not talking about upgrading. You have to go there and look at it. It's called, the company is Serif. And I know Adobe is expensive to
Oh, boy.
subscribe to, but it's for professionals that make a lot of money using it. So it's
I know
fine.
people that I have a very old Adobe license, lifetime license. It still works amazingly even on Windows 11. It's Adobe 10, and it's still you look at the graphics and it looks like, gosh, was this done with Visual Basic?
Well,
it's very rudimentary, but it works. You look at the newer versions; they're a lot more slick, but at least it does what I need to do, which is to modify PDFs, add to, and modify PDFs.
well,
it
so
does. I
here's
mean,
something I don't know. I didn't
can't
look
aff-
to
I,
see
I
how.
couldn't afford to replace the license if I didn't have it anymore.
Yeah, those licenses are,
Very
forget
expensive.
it,
I
forget it.
bought it back more than 10 years ago, and it was like $300. then.
Backups. We were talking a lot about, or we were mentioning quite a few times, the second copy. There's another thing like it that is apparently working, and maybe it does more. I don't know. I mean, it's been so long since I installed it. It's AsComp. AsComp Synchro. I can't remember the name of it. Syncredible or something like that. And AsComp software, and I think it's called Syncredible. Like Sync, Incredible. So Syncredible. And it's I think it's $39. It's free for end users, for home users.
Ah, yeah, I'm looking at it now.
And it will do it'll do a whole disk, or or you can schedule when it's going to do it, or you can make it do it all the time. I'm going to try and get somebody from there to come on the show and talk about it.
Oh, good.
Because
I only have one license for second copy.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll try it on a different machine because I'd like to do that.
Yeah,
the one I'm on now doesn't have a lot of changes. So except when if I'm editing photos or something.
So for home users, it's free.
Yeah.
You can just go there and download it and use it. And for those that don't know what we're talking about, it's when you update a file, you save it. Whenever you write a file, it will go out, second copy that we're using now, and now AsComp will do it also. You configure it to back up to another drive. And as you write a file, it syncs it with the other drive. So it's like you made a backup without making a backup.
Does it do something that second copy doesn't do? And I'm not aware of how to configure it to do it. Does it save more than one version of a copy of a file?
I have no idea.
Because that would be interesting to say, keep the last three versions of the.
That's a good point.
Editing business, and you want to keep past versions to go back.
Yeah, in case you screwed it up and you said, no, let me go back to an earlier version. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know.
I've done in the past. I used to do a lot of presentations. I've been constantly doing presentations, and I'm actually pretty good at PowerPoint for certain things. I mean, animations and that kind of stuff, I didn't spend a lot of time on. But I would use a template, and I would take another presentation as a template and do my new presentation, and then forget to save it as a different file name. And the whole original one be blown away. I was like, oh, I need that one. Oh,
well.
So I was smart now. As soon as I opened the new file, I would save it as the new name and close the other one. And I only had to do that once, right?
Yeah, I used to do the same. I still do same, something like that. I always call it the same name dash today's date, or time, or something that will make it identifiable. Yeah. All right. For home videographers and data hoarders who still rely on optical disc for archiving, some bad news just dropped. Sony is winding down production of recordable Blu-ray media. In an interview Sony gave to AV Watch recently, the company admitted it is going to gradually end development and production of recordable Blu-rays and other optical disc formats at its Tagajo City plants in Miyagi Prefecture in Japan. Essentially, 25 gig, 50 gig, 100 gig, or 128 gig will soon not be available to consumers. Professional discs for video production and optical archive for data storage are also being discontinued. Sony says it's pulling the plug because the cold storage market never really took off like they hoped, and the overall storage media business has been operating in the red for years.
So, what is the alternative?
The cloud, or
Yeah,
another hard.
what is the cloud stores it on
I
what?
know. I mean, I'm sure there are other ways to do it, but I mean, they're not talking about the biggest one they're talking about is 128 gig, but that's big.
But
Yeah,
you think about it, when you that type of medium is put it in the side of a mountain with no power and save it technology, right? Because it doesn't require any active power to save it.
right.
Cloud does.
Yes,
So that would be it's a good way to archive something that you want to keep forever that you're not going to change. So yeah,
yeah.
that's interesting. It's
And
like
there was something about, I don't know which country it was. Oh, Germany. Germany is updating their navy frigates that are still using 8-inch discs, floppy disks.
but it's probably reliable.
I guess.
I remember touring in Tampa. Someone had the great idea to buy a retired Soviet era missile submarine.
Yeah.
When you say, "Oh, missile submarine," that must have been really exotic technology. Well, it was from the 60s. And the missile was one missile that was in a chamber on the sub where they'd open the doors and they could, pick the missile up and shoot it. It wasn't like today's boomers where you've got, 30 or 40 warheads in the ship, in the
Mm-hmm.
submarine. But got on board walking through this submarine and it was vacuum tubes.
Geez, well,
But they said that
yeah.
that was impervious to electromagnetic pulse. It was very slow, but it always worked. You just
It will
replaced
work.
the vacuum tube. So
Talking
interesting.
about talking about Germany also, and since the German government and mobile phone carriers have agreed in principle to steps to phase components Chinese technology companies out of the nation's 5G wireless network over the next 5 years.
Are we realizing it now?
Yeah. The government is acting on a basis of the national security strategy and China strategy to reduce possible security risk and dependencies. So Huawei, that's what they're talking about. And who was the first one to say something about, hey, don't use that? Do you remember?
Yes.
Trump.
Oh, yeah, right. Yep, right. That's
And here's 4 years later, and they decided, okay, yeah, we need to stop doing it because it's a security risk.
no, it's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about that with the whole when we first found out about Highway and how they were producing routers
Yep.
that you could go in and you could look at the firmware and find the Cisco notes of the developers. And you could. They
Yeah.
just copied it, just stole it. And they got tagged for that. And originally they were removed from certain markets because of the copyright violation and the patent violation. But people didn't realize what the other risk was, is that the microchips that are in there that will automatically report back. They said that's still a problem. What was recently there was a router, a home router that they told people that it had technology built in where it could actually report back to the mothership when it
Yeah,
was
I mean,
all.
a lot of them do that.
But I mean, it was
They
for
found, yeah,
not for good reasons.
yeah.
I mean, it was not just to collect uh, user data, to improve the product. I love that when they say, "Oh, now you can opt out of cookies," and you see performance cookies, and you say marketing cookies, and then they say user interface. Before, I guess the performance cookies. Oh, we like to collect data so we can improve the product. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're making a fortune off of selling information of people.
Hmm. And I'm saying 8-inch floppies and setting up the system with dip switches. Remember?
Yes, I
Yeah.
still have, I still have my garage door opener. Still had an option in the remote. You could do a
All kind of.
wireless sync, or you could use dip switches, which
Yeah.
was work with both. I still have the new one sitting in a box. I bought a new Wi-Fi controlled garage door opener because the one I have is an old Genie screw drive. It's old, and I've replaced. They call it the truck. The truck is the little thing that sits on the rail that when the screw turns, it's got teeth and it moves it back and forth. I've already gone through a couple of those because it just wears it wears the teeth out.
Wow.
One day you try to run the garage door and it doesn't move. The screw is turning, but nothing happens. So you have to replace the truck. And so I think I've lived the
Sheesh.
usefulness of the one I have.
Uh,
The plastic shield around the light is just crumbling into pieces. And
all right. Google will extend its dark web monitoring service to all account holders starting late July 2024, following the closure of its VPN offering last month. The feature, which scans for personal data compromised in breaches, was previously exclusive to Google One subscribers in dozens of countries.
oh, Google One, I remember that.
Uh,
Yeah,
so I wonder if we see something in Chrome or something that will uh, let you know.
that's actually a very good thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's going to annoy the identity theft people. Because that's one
Oh,
of the things I know, but it's one of the things that they offer is they do dark web scanning to find
yeah.
information about you. But that's automated and set up and runs it. You don't have to do anything to get it.
So if you shop on Amazon, Amazon AI chatbot Rufus is now live for all US customers. So what does it do? It's an Amazon chatbot, so it helps with shopping. You can ask for lists of recommended products and ask what specific products do this and stuff like that. So they have a chatbot that's going, a shopping assistant.
Oh boy. I saw that and I said no. Yep. And because the suggestions that they make now based on my shopping are so ridiculous.
It is.
I mean, the stuff that pops up, it's a
I didn't
you
ask for that. What?
you can't even get that by listening to my conversations,
Yeah.
which they do. So,
Yeah.
and if you're shopping for a specific thing and it lists similar products, and then you'll see something like, I'm looking at buying a new charger for my phone, and it's got uh, a manufacturer of uh, trays for dog food. I mean, how does it happen? How does if they just flag that and it just shows up? Did they really? Is that like they're predicting what I might want to get based on my what I'm searching for?
Oh, I can see you
Yeah.
want.
Even though I don't have any pets, I'm definitely in the market for a new
Yeah.
bowl for pet food. Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to talk
No,
about?
I'll just say I'm sorry. I took
No,
me
it's
so long to
a
get here,
look.
but I'm glad that it wind up with Gal
Yeah.
having to take off. So that made it worth it. It was, I sat down at my desk this morning, powered the machine up, everything looked normal. And I was 15 minutes early when I tried to do this, try to log in. And I'm like, what is going on here?
Something, did you remove cookies, cleaned
No,
cookies?
but I think there was an update. The last time I used the machine, which was 2 weeks ago, there was an update. I was sitting there waiting during the show for me to end and to install the update. So I bet that was it. Something got changed.
Yeah, after the show, I'll try and go in and see where that thing is to say that, like Gal said, to take it out. All right, Spence.
All right.
Well, thanks for showing up.
Oh, my pleasure. I will be here when I can.
Yeah. And thanks, Gal. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Dana, Dina, Mati, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov and Yael. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, update your virus scanner, change any same passwords where you use them, and back up. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And again, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., Nick is on Wilmington's 980 The Wave and 107.9 FM. You can tell your Echo device between 6 and 9 a.m. in the morning to play 980 The Wave and listen to it live, or you can go later on to nickcraig.com and listen to the podcast. And Nick and Brian also do the Infection podcast for gaming, survival games, and gaming news on Twitch every week. Just go to infectionpodcast.com to see when the live one is, or you can download the latest show from there and listen to it at your pleasure. We'll be back together next week. Have a good one.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.